What's going on, family members? Welcome to a very special season finale of Cruise Island. This will be my last Cruise Island episode for a couple months until we get the draft process going throughout not only here but throughout the entire Off the Ball network. But I got an interesting topic. I felt like it was an interesting topic. It came up the other day. If you didn't catch our live post game show, it was myself, Mo up in flames, Prez, Chris LeBron was there. We also had Kenneth and Jeff on there, and basically the question got brought up: has Patrick Mahomes done enough to be considered the GOAT? And kind of, I think it's crazy because you look at we can only go off of the first 5 seasons. Well, six if you include the rookie season, which I'm not. Um, you really only are including the second, third, fourth, and fifth season and sixth season in the league. So the first 5 years as a starter, you look at both their numbers, and the numbers are very interesting. I'm not gonna lie. It's hard. It's hard to look at the numbers and think that Patrick Mahomes has not done enough. And if at the very least he has not done enough, he is well, well on his way to be considered the GOAT. And Mo brought up the interesting point. It's probably not going to take 7 or 8 Super Bowl titles. It's probably not even going to take 7, 8 Super Bowl appearances because you all know Tom Brady has 10. He's won 7 of them. It's 3, maybe 4. I think if he gets 5, it's a done deal. Depending on how many he makes it to and loses, if he does lose anymore, which you would have to think he's going to. Because as of right now, through Tom Brady's first 5 years as the full-time bona fide starter, you're looking at 2002, 2003, 2004, and 2000. I'm sorry, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, and 2005 season, ending with that Super Bowl in 2006. You look at Patrick Mahomes' years, you're looking at 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, and 22, ending with the Super Bowl last weekend. That's what we have to go off of for these two. As you got to make it as comparable as possible in this stage of Patrick Mahomes' career. So that's what we're going with. They both were drafted the year before they became the full-time starter. Tom Brady got it because of injury. Drew Bledsoe took that nasty hit on the sideline. Tom Brady came in relief, and the rest is history. Patrick Mahomes, he was destined for this greatness. Let's just call it what it is. Andy Reid and the Chiefs they traded up to draft him at 10 overall in the 2017 draft, 2016 draft, I believe it was. He's at a year behind Alex Smith, and then Patrick Mahomes came in the last game of the 2017 season, last regular season game of the 2017 regular season, and after that, Alex Smith was shipped off to Washington for Kendall Fuller and some draft picks, and Patrick Mahomes was the full-time starter after that. So that's what we have to go off of. So if we look at just the numbers alone, just the numbers. Now, again, like I said before, Tom Brady got to go 0-1 to 05. Luckily, they both played the same exact number of games. Patrick Mahomes, he's missed a few games in his time. Again, the last 2 seasons have been a 17-game regular season. But they even out same number of games played. Tom Brady, you see, has a 58-20 career record not career record, but just in those 5 years. And Patrick Mahomes has a 63-16 record, which, all things considered, this is the most similar, the most all things equal stat we're going to be able to look at, because once you dive into the actual numbers, the stats, it doesn't look good for Tom Brady. You look, you see, he threw out of 2,500 pass attempts, 1,567 completions compared to nearly 3,000 attempts by Patrick Mahomes and 2,000, nearly 2,000 completions. You look at completion percentage, which is literally just an average. So another good comparable number, 61.9 compared to Patrick Mahomes, 66.4. Now, again, this is where numbers get disparaging. Tom Brady, 18,029 yards. Patrick Mahomes, 23,957 yards. 43 yards away from 24,000 yards in his first 5 seasons. That's mainly because of three things. Number one, we're in a passing league. Back when in 2001, the top player was in 2001, 2002, like during that time frame, 01 to 05, LaDainian Tomlinson. That was when it was a running back league. If you had one good running back, the Steven Alexander days, Jerome Bettis, if you had one dominant running back, you had a chance to make a deep playoff run year in and year out. Now we don't see that. Now we see two, sometimes even three running backs, all pretty much be featured. And really, this league depends on if you have a quarterback or not. If you have a quarterback, you're going to do great. If not, you're going to suffer for a few years. I'm a Washington Commanders fan. You all know that. So I know that firsthand. If you don't have a quarterback, you're not doing much. No matter how much your backup comes in, no matter how much heart your backup has in Taylor Heineke, some people just aren't they're just not starters in this league. Another thing you have to account for is the weapons that the gap in weapons that each player had during those seasons. Look at in 2001 to 05, Brady had players like Deion Branch. And that's all I can think of off the top of my head during that season. And it could just be because it was so long ago and Deion Branch was Super Bowl MVP on the game against the Eagles, I believe. Super Bowl against the Eagles. But that's really it. It was basically a defensive-minded team. As when you look at Patrick Mahomes, he had Tyreek Hill, which turned out who was drafted pretty much just as a punt return guy. Turned out to be one of the best receivers in the league. Travis Kelce. You had Miko Hardman, who was fast. Yeah, and then you lose Tyreek Hill. You pick up Montez MVS, Valdez Scantling from Green Bay. Pick up Juju Smith-Schuster, who we all thought was a number one wideout when Antonio Brown left the Steelers. Turns out Juju was a solid 2 or 3 guy, somebody who's not going to command the best DB on the other side, but somebody who can definitely pick up some yards and get a good hold when he needs it. And then the system that they were each in. Tom Brady had Bill Belichick, which arguably the greatest coach of all time. But he was a defensive-minded coach. We all know this. And Josh McDaniels had, really good offensive systems. But let's not act like Tom Brady had a bum at OC. Josh McDaniels a bum head coach. Yes, absolutely. He's shown that twice already. But he hasn't been in bad systems. But you look at Patrick Mahomes coming into an Andy Reid system, was already a passing attack. Eric Bieniemy as his offensive coordinator, who, for whatever reason, has not gotten a head coaching job. My opinion, should he be a head coach? Yes, at least give him a chance because you've given other people chances, like Adam Gase should have never been a head coach. Nathaniel Hackett should have never been a head coach. You're giving those guys opportunities, so why not Eric Bieniemy? But I hope it might just work out in my favor if the Commanders are able to land him as the new OC. That might just save Ron Rivera's job. But again, the system Patrick Mahomes coming in, it's an air raid offense. It's a pass first. The whole team was built around him. So to use that against Tom Brady, it's tough. I almost feel bad. I mean, then I remember he has 7 Super Bowl rings, so I don't feel as bad, but still. And these numbers are just regular season. These numbers right here, just regular season numbers. Let's dive into the playoffs. In the first 5 seasons, Patrick Mahomes has played 3 more playoff games because in 2002, the Patriots did not make the playoffs, unfortunately. That was a year after they beat. That was the year that Tampa Bay won their Super Bowl. So they didn't make it that year. Then they came back and rattled off 2 more Super Bowl wins without losing any games until the 05-06 season when he went 1-1, won their first playoff game, lost the second one. That's his 10-1 record. At one point, Tom Brady was 10-0 in the playoffs, and he looked unstoppable. And he pretty much was until he wasn't. But look at the numbers again. 61.3 completion percentage to Patrick Mahomes, 67.3. So that tells you Patrick Mahomes is looking at just that. He's a more accurate passer. Again, yards disparaging. I don't really like to take this into account, but you have to look at it. 4,084 yards by Patrick Mahomes in his 14 games, and 2,493 to Tom Brady's. Now, yes, he has played more games, so we break it down per playoff game. Patrick Mahomes is sitting at 291.7 per playoff game, and Tom Brady is up at 226.6 per playoff game. Now, that I like looking at those because again, it makes it a little bit more even, especially when we're talking about playoffs, when not every player is guaranteed the same amount of playoff games. So just something to look at. Now you look at this is crazy. 35 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. Tom Brady has 15 touchdowns to 5 interceptions during that span. And again, you say, well, Patrick Mahomes played 3 more games. Look at touchdowns per game right here. 2.5 touchdowns per game. Now, that is almost an ungodly number to Tom Brady's 1.4 touchdowns per playoff game. Now, interceptions, Patrick Mahomes does have 2 more interceptions in 3 more games, but it breaks down to the exact same half an interception per playoff game. So not bad. This one I do like this stat, the sacks. 3 more games, Patrick Mahomes has been sacked 30 more times or 30 times to Tom Brady's 16, almost double. As you see there, Patrick Mahomes 2.1 sacks to Tom Brady's 1.5 sacks per game. Now, just looking at the numbers, you have to think that Patrick Mahomes, if he were to retire today, no doubt Hall of Famer. He already has as many Super Bowls as Eli Manning and Super Bowl MVPs as Eli Manning, who is a shoe-in for the Hall of Fame, whether you believe he should be or not. He is a shoe-in. He has as many Super Bowl wins as Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning has the 2 Super Bowl wins, the one with the Colts and the one with the Broncos. He is one shy of total Super Bowl appearances, matching Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning has that one more that they lost to Seattle. Peyton Manning made 2 as a Colt, 2 as a Bronco. Patrick Mahomes is sitting at 3 total. Oops, I dropped my pen. Sitting at 3 total Super Bowl appearances. He's won 2 of them with Super Bowl MVP in both of them. Now, I think that's a loaded stat because MVP in general, regular season or Super Bowl, is a quarterback award. We hardly even think about anybody not a quarterback really even winning that award, whether it's regular season or Super Bowl. But he still has to go play the game. He still has to perform well. Last time a defensive player or a person not a quarterback has won Super Bowl MVP was when Peyton Manning won his second Super Bowl in his final season. Von Miller was Super Bowl MVP, which he had a hell of a game that game. And then the one before that was Malcolm Smith with Seattle. Ended up having that pick six, had a couple of sacks that game, but predominantly for the last, 20 years, it's been a quarterback. A quarterback will most likely win the game unless it's something crazy. Again, a crazy game like Malcolm Smith or a Von Miller. So But if you look at the head-to-head awards, Patrick Mahomes, again, like I just said, 2 Super Bowl titles to his name, and in this span, the same year span, Tom Brady already had 3. They both two-time Super Bowl MVPs. Um, and the biggest difference, Tom Brady won all 3 of his, and Patrick Mahomes lost one to, coincidentally, Tom Brady when he was with Tampa Bay. His first season with Tampa Bay, he lost that Super Bowl, so he's in that 2-1 in Super Bowls at this point in time. Tom Brady again was 3-0, 2 Super Bowl MVPs for each of them. Again, Deion Branch, he won the Super Bowl MVP for the game against the Eagles. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Patrick Mahomes, right now in year 6, 2 NFL MVPs to Tom Brady's 0 at this point in his career. Again, this is just from the 01 to 05 season. 2 NFL All-Pros, which means he was the best quarterback in the league per the voters and writers. Tom Brady, at this point in his career, 0. Patrick Mahomes, Pro Bowls, 5 Pro Bowls, has been a Pro Bowler each of his 5 years as a starter. Tom Brady, only 3. Another interesting fact, since Patrick Mahomes became the full-time starter in Kansas City, they have never missed the playoffs. And I believe they have never been lower than 2 seed. As I stated earlier, Tom Brady in 2002 missed the playoffs entirely, and before he went on to win the next 2. So again, we go back and look at and ask the question again: has Patrick Mahomes done enough to be declared the GOAT? No. Let's just be honest. He hasn't, not yet. But again, he is well on his way. Well on his way. If he keeps this up, I say 2 more rings and a max of one loss in the Super Bowl. If he does end up losing another one, I think if he's sitting at 4 rings with 6 appearances, and he continues to put numbers up like this, I think that will cement him as the greatest quarterback of all time, because we are privileged enough to live in an era. This is not like the Jordan and LeBron debate, where you have a bunch of old heads who were alive in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s who watched Jordan live, watched him play those games, and then you have a bunch of young kids who only see Jordan on YouTube highlights, but are watching LeBron James in person. We have been fortunate enough to watch the entirety of Tom Brady's career. And we will also be able to watch the entirety of Patrick Mahomes' career, and they overlap. We're getting to see arguably the best 2 quarterbacks in the history of this sport concurrently, and for a point in time simultaneously. And that is something that we cannot and should not ever forget or take for granted. Now that Tom Brady has retired, whether you liked him or hated him, thought he was the GOAT, thought he was overrated, thought he was a cheater, thought it was the system, thought it was this, that, and the third, it doesn't matter. We can now appreciate the career that he had and what he was able to give us as fans. Same with LeBron James. Whether you think he's the GOAT or not, I do not. I've retired from that conversation, but I do not think he is the GOAT. I do believe Jordan is the GOAT for my reasons. Again, I will not get into that. I'm able to appreciate LeBron James' career. Watching him break the all-time scoring record, for me, was a privilege. I got to watch it. I got to watch it with my daughter. I think that was great. She doesn't understand it. She doesn't understand the history that she saw, but she knows she watched history that night. We got to see somebody go on an unprecedented Super Bowl run, career, the likes of which we may never see again. There is a possibility Patrick Mahomes just completely falls off at one point, and we never hear from him again. Doesn't make it to another Super Bowl because remember, at this point in Brady's career, he was 10-1 with 3 Super Bowl rings. We were thinking 10 in the next 15 years. It took him almost 10 years to win another Super Bowl. He went to 2 and lost to the Giants in both of those. And then he finally came back and won one of them. I don't remember who it was against. They did finally win another one. But there was a 10-year period where he did not win a Super Bowl. And he had only been to 2 of them. Is it likely Patrick Mahomes does something like that? I don't think so. I think he will end up. I think he gets at least 2 more rings, possibly 3. I think he does have several more appearances on top of those 3. I think he will lose a couple more, but I think we will be seeing Patrick Mahomes sit at about 7 appearances, 4 to 5 rings. And again, with the numbers he's putting up, and we didn't even look at the rushing yards. We did not get into the rushing yards because that alone is borderline depressing for Tom Brady. He's not a running quarterback. Patrick Mahomes, I would not qualify him as a running quarterback either, but he is a quarterback that can run. Even on one ankle, he can still run when his team needs it. He can still run. We saw that on Sunday. So not even getting into the rushing yards, the rushing aspect of being a quarterback. Just on pure passing alone. The things Patrick Mahomes is able to do, Tom Brady could not dream of. Could not dream of doing no-look passes. Because Tom Brady's more of a fundamentals guy. We all know this, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the type of play Patrick Mahomes plays with, and just the sheer just goes out there and balls out. And now we're seeing what we always said about Tom Brady is, oh, he can make any wide receiver a household name. Whether it was Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, Deion Branch, Ben Hogan was pretty famous for a couple weeks in 2016, 2015. So Tom Brady was able to make a star out of anybody. We thought this year going into this season, the loss of Tyreek Hill was going to hinder Patrick Mahomes. And what did he do? He went and made MVS not a household name, but somebody who outside of a casual made the casual football fan aware of who MVS was. Juju Smith-Schuster had those really good 2 years in Pittsburgh behind Antonio Brown, was called out to be wide receiver number 1, didn't really pan out. He really not that dude, as we can see. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with being wide receiver 2. Really not. If that's what you are, that's what you are. Not everybody can be a 1. Not every team can be fortunate like the Eagles that have 2 wide receiver 1s on opposite sides of the field. I don't think what AJ Brown said is true about Juju being, on his way out of the league. If you didn't see those tweets, but it definitely wasn't on his way out of the league. But he definitely, needed to go somewhere where he wasn't going to be the star guy, which he wasn't. Travis Kelce is now. He's he's basically wide receiver number 1, playing a tight end position. But Patrick Mahomes is making names out of relatively unknown guys. And if he continues to do this for the next 10, 15 years, he's in year 6. He just finished up year 6. So he plays another 15 years to 20. He's playing 21 years. I don't think he can with his style of play. So let's just say the next 10 years. Just looking at the next 10 years, I think he will be far and away the best player, the best quarterback to ever play the game. That's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. Whether you watch this live, whether you're catching the audio version, or whether you are catching a rebroadcast, I really do appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. This has been a tremendous season, probably one of the most fun seasons I have been a part of and watched. 2023 season is just going to be that much better. Mark your calendars. April 27th. Let me just confirm that real quick before. April 27th, 2023. Off the Ball Network will be doing its third annual live draft coverage. It's a fun event. Bunch of guys from the network, myself, I will be hosting for third year in a row, and I'm fortunate enough to host once again. It's probably one of my favorite nights of the year. I'll be able to host. There's going to be most likely at least 10 of us with some people waiting to get in live draft. See people's reactions. The last few years have had some pretty awesome reactions. Mo of the Up in Flames, he's a huge Cowboy fan. Dallas drafted Micah Parsons, and he was livid. Still part of the worst Mo take I have ever seen. Again, that's worked out fine for him. You saw my last two, Jamin Davis and then Jahan Dotson, very upset about those picks. Jahan Dotson looks to be working out just fine. Jamin Davis is coming into his own. But it's going to be a fun night. I'm taking probably about a month off from unless anything crazy happens. And then we're going to get into draft coverage. I'm going to have my guy Stu on talking quarterbacks. Mo's is probably going to be talking wide receivers and corners like he did last year. So we're going to have a bunch of guys, bunch of content coming out in March. We're definitely excited to bring that to you. But with that, once again, go check out everybody Off the Ball Network, OTBN. Go check out the website, otbn.com. A bunch of great articles are up. I think in this next month, I'm probably going to be working on a few myself. But again, thank you so much. This has been a tremendous season, and I hope to see you guys next month.